The phone rang 3 times before Lucas Chen's hand found it in the dark. His alarm clock read 3:47 a.m. Never a good sign. He was 22, juggling 3 part-time jobs while finishing his economics degree at City College, and phone calls at this hour usually meant someone needed an extra shift covered or his landlord had finally gotten fed up with the late rent. "Hello," his voice was rough with interrupted sleep. "Is this Lucas Chen?" The voice on the other end was professional, clipped. "Police, maybe, or worse." Lucas sat up, fully awake now. "Yes, what's wrong?" "My name is Marco Santoro. I'm head of security for the Romano family. Mr. Dante Romano asked me to contact you. There's been an incident at City National Bank involving your daughter." The world tilted. Lucas's daughter, Lily, 4 years old, with her mother's dark eyes and his terrible habit of asking, "Why?" about everything, wasn't supposed to be at any bank. She was supposed to be with his ex-girlfriend Rachel at their apartment across town. "What kind of incident?" Lucas was already pulling on jeans, his phone wedged between his shoulder and ear. "A robbery in progress. The suspects have taken hostages, including a young girl matching your daughter's description. Mr. Romano's daughter was also inside when this started. He's mobilizing resources to handle the situation, but he wanted you informed immediately." Dante Romano. Lucas's mouth went dry. Everyone in the city knew that name. The man who controlled half the organized crime in 5 boroughs, whose family had been a fixture in New York for 3 generations. "Why would Romano care about my daughter?" "Because she's there with his daughter, Sophia. They were on a play date. Apparently the girls attend the same preschool. Mrs. Romano thought a morning trip to the bank would be brief, but—" Marco's voice tightened. "The timing was unfortunate." Lucas grabbed his jacket, his hands shaking. "I'm coming to the bank, now." "Mr. Romano anticipated that. There's a car outside your building. Driver will bring you to the command post." "Command post? Shouldn't the police be handling this?" "The police are handling it. Mr. Romano is providing additional support." The way Marco said support made it clear that Dante Romano's involvement was less assistance and more takeover. "The car is a black SUV. License plate RMN 4738. Driver's name is Tony." Lucas didn't argue. His daughter was in danger. He didn't care if it was the police, the Mafia, or a team of circus clowns getting her out. He took the stairs 2 at a time, burst through the building's entrance to find the SUV idling at the curb exactly as promised. Tony, mid-40s, built like he'd spent equal time at the gym and in street fights, nodded as Lucas climbed in. "Mr. Chen, we'll be there in 15 minutes. Tell me what happened, everything you know." Tony navigated through the empty pre-dawn streets with practiced efficiency. "Mrs. Romano, Aria Romano. She volunteers at St. Catherine's preschool. Your daughter and Sophia became friends last month. This morning, Mrs. Romano offered to take both girls to open a savings account for Sophia's birthday. Teaching kids about money, she said." Lucas remembered Lily mentioning a friend named Sophia, remembered his ex-girlfriend Rachel being thrilled that Lily had been invited on an outing with such a nice family. Neither of them had known the Romanos were anything other than wealthy benefactors of the preschool. "The bank opened at 6 a.m. for business customers," Tony continued. "Mrs. Romano got there at 6:15. At 6:20, 4 men entered with guns. They've locked down the building, taken approximately 12 hostages, including Mrs. Romano and the 2 girls. Police response was immediate, but—" Tony's jaw tightened. "Mr. Romano got the call 10 minutes ago. He's not pleased." Not pleased was probably an understatement. Lucas knew enough about men like Dante Romano to understand that taking his wife and daughter hostage was signing your own death warrant. They arrived at a scene of controlled chaos. Police barricades blocked off 3 city blocks around City National Bank, a modest building in the financial district. Satellite news trucks jockeyed for position behind the police line. SWAT teams positioned strategically around the perimeter. And in the center of it all, in a mobile command center that definitely didn't belong to NYPD, stood Dante Romano. Lucas had seen pictures, society pages, business journals, the occasional tabloid photo. But in person, Romano was more intimidating. Late 40s, over 6 feet, with the kind of presence that made everyone in the room unconsciously orient toward him. He wore an expensive suit despite the hour, spoke rapid Italian into a phone, and radiated barely controlled rage. Tony guided Lucas to the command center. Romano ended his call, turned, and assessed Lucas in 3 seconds flat. "Mr. Chen," Romano's handshake was firm. "I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances. Your daughter Lily, she and Sophia have become close friends. Aria speaks highly of her." "Thank you for getting me here. What's the situation?" Romano gestured to a bank of monitors showing various angles of the bank's interior, hacked from security cameras. 4 suspects, armed with automatic weapons. They entered with a plan, disabled the silent alarm, knew the security protocols. This wasn't opportunistic. It was coordinated. On one monitor, Lucas could see the hostages. 12 people, mostly bank employees, huddled in the center of the lobby. And there, among them, were 2 women with 2 small girls. Aria Romano was elegant even in crisis. Dark hair, poised despite the circumstances, one arm around each girl protectively. Sophia was crying quietly. Lily, his brave, stubborn Lily, looked terrified but calm, her hand gripping her friend's. "They haven't hurt anyone yet," Romano said, following Lucas's gaze. "But they're demanding $5 million in cash and a helicopter within 2 hours. Standard robbery protocol says police negotiate, wait them out. But Mr. Chen," Romano's voice dropped, "my family doesn't wait, and my daughter doesn't sit in fear while bureaucrats debate tactics." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I have resources the police don't. Information networks, access to building schematics, people who can enter that bank through channels SWAT doesn't know exist." Romano pulled up a blueprint on one of the screens. "The bank was built in 1952. It connects to the old subway tunnels through a maintenance access in the basement. Officially sealed, but I own the building next door. I can have a team inside within 30 minutes. Lucas stared at the blueprint, at the man proposing what amounted to a private military operation. "Is that legal?" "No, but it's fast." Romano met his eyes. "The police want to minimize casualties, which means they'll negotiate for hours while my daughter and yours are terrified. I want my family out now. I want those men who dared touch my wife and daughter to face consequences. And Mr. Chen, I don't particularly care about legal when my daughter is crying on that monitor." Lucas looked back at the screen, at Lily trying to be brave, at the gunmen pacing, agitated and unpredictable, at his daughter in danger while he stood helpless. "What do you need from me?" he asked. Romano's smile was sharp. "Your consent, you're Lily's father. I won't act regarding your daughter without your approval, but if you agree, I'll get both girls out safely. You have my word." "Your word as what, a businessman or a crime boss?" "As a father," Romano's voice was steel. "I've done many things I'm not proud of, Mr. Chen, but I've never broken a promise regarding children. I'll get them out, all of them." Lucas thought about the police protocols, about negotiations that could take hours, about the statistics on hostage situations gone wrong. Then he thought about Lily's face on that monitor, about trust placed in a man whose reputation was built on violence but whose daughter held hands with his. "Do it," Lucas said. "Get them out." Romano nodded once, then began issuing orders in Italian to Marco and 3 other men who materialized from the shadows. They moved with military precision, checking weapons, reviewing blueprints, coordinating via encrypted communications. "The police?" Lucas asked. "Will be informed after my team is in position. The detective in charge, Harris, he's practical. He'll accept my help once it's a fait accompli." Romano pulled up a different screen showing thermal imaging. "My team enters through the basement. They'll neutralize the suspects, secure the hostages, and extract everyone through the tunnel, in and out in 7 minutes." "And if something goes wrong?" It won't. Romano's certainty was absolute. But Mr. Chen, I need you to do something for me in return. Lucas tensed. What? When this is over, when our daughters are safe, don't tell anyone about my involvement. Let the police take credit. Let the news report that SWAT handled it. Because if word gets out that Dante Romano mounted a private military operation in Manhattan, it raises questions I'd prefer to avoid. You want me to lie to protect you? I want you to be discreet to protect your daughter. Because Mr. Chen, if the authorities start investigating this too closely, they'll want to interview everyone involved, including Lily, including why she was with the Romano family, and I'd rather not expose our families to that scrutiny. It was a threat wrapped in reason, but Lucas understood the logic. Getting tangled in a Mafia investigation would be worse than the robbery itself. Fine, but if anything happens to Lily, then you can spend the rest of your life trying to destroy me. Fair. Fair. They watched the monitors as Romano's team moved into position. Lucas could see on the thermal imaging 4 shapes entering the bank's basement through the tunnel access, spreading out, moving with synchronized precision that made SWAT look amateur. On another screen, one of the robbers was getting agitated, waving his gun, shouting at the hostages. Aria Romano pulled both girls closer, her body language protective despite the danger. 2 minutes, Marco said into his comm unit. Romano's hand clenched on the edge of the table, his jaw tight. For all his control, Lucas could see the fear beneath. A father watching his daughter in danger, powerless despite all his resources until this moment. Team Alpha in position, Team Beta securing the perimeter, on your count, boss. Romano didn't hesitate. Execute. Everything happened at once. The basement team burst through a door behind the teller counter, 4 men in tactical gear moving like ghosts. The robbers spun, weapons raising, but Romano's team was faster. Suppressed gunfire, 3 quick shots. 3 robbers down before they could react. The 4th robber grabbed the nearest hostage, Aria Romano. Lucas's breath stopped. On the monitor, he could see Sophia screaming, see Lily frozen in shock, see the robber's gun pressed to Aria's temple while he shouted demands that couldn't be heard through the surveillance feed. Romano's expression went absolutely cold. He spoke one word into his comm, Carlo. One of his team members, the one who'd circled behind during the initial breach, fired a single shot. The robber dropped, Aria stumbling free, and suddenly the bank erupted in motion. Romano's team swept through, securing weapons, checking hostages, extracting everyone toward the basement exit. All hostiles down, hostages secure, beginning evacuation. 70 seconds. The entire operation took 70 seconds from breach to completion. 10 minutes later, Lucas held his daughter in his arms while she sobbed into his chest. She was unharmed, scared, traumatized, but physically safe. Across the command center, Dante Romano held Sophia similarly, speaking soft Italian while his wife Aria wrapped around both of them. The police swarmed the bank, SWAT teams taking credit for the rescue, detectives interviewing hostages. No one mentioned the tunnel. No one asked about Romano's involvement. Detective Harris, a weathered veteran with sharp eyes, caught Romano's gaze once, nodded slightly, and turned away. "Daddy, I was so scared," Lily whispered. "But Mrs. Romano said we'd be okay. She said my daddy would come for me." "I did come for you, baby, and you're safe now." Lucas kissed the top of her head, emotions overwhelming him. Romano approached, Sophia now on his hip. "Mr. Chen, I'm glad Lily's all right." "Thank you for everything." Lucas meant it. Whatever Romano was, whatever his reputation, he'd gotten their daughters out safely when the alternative was hours of terror. "No thanks necessary. Our daughters are friends, that makes us—" Romano paused, searching for the right word. "Connected, and I protect connections." "Sophia wants to know if Lily can still come to her birthday party next week," Aria Romano said, joining them. Her voice was steady despite what she'd just endured. "If you're comfortable with that, of course." Lucas looked at Lily, who despite everything was nodding hopefully. "Can I, Daddy? Please." "We'll see," he met Romano's eyes. "We'll need to talk about expectations, about what this connection means." "Of course, but not today. Today you take your daughter home, hold her, let her feel safe." Romano's voice softened. "And Mr. Chen, you're struggling financially. I see it in your clothes, your exhaustion. You work 3 jobs while finishing school. That's admirable. But you shouldn't have to choose between education and supporting your daughter." "I appreciate the observation, but—" "I'm not offering charity, I'm offering opportunity." Romano handed him a business card. "Romano Enterprises has an internship program, economics majors, paid position, flexible hours, looks excellent on a resume. No obligations beyond the work itself. Call that number next week if you're interested." It was a job offer or a leash. Lucas couldn't tell which. But looking at Lily, at the relief in her eyes, at the future stretching ahead with bills he couldn't pay and dreams he couldn't afford, he pocketed the card. "I'll think about it. That's all I ask." 3 weeks later, Lucas sat in a glass office on the 42nd floor of Romano Tower, reviewing financial projections for a real estate acquisition. The internship was exactly as advertised: challenging, educational, professionally legitimate. His supervisor was demanding but fair. His paycheck covered rent and childcare with money left over. And every Thursday, Lily had playdates with Sophia at the Romano estate in Westchester, where she played in a garden bigger than their entire apartment building, and came home talking about ponies and swimming pools and how Sophia's daddy was really nice for a grown-up. Lucas knew what this was. Dante Romano collecting on an unspoken debt, binding Lucas to him through opportunity and gratitude, and the friendship between 2 4-year-olds who didn't understand their father's complicated arrangement. But when Lucas picked up Lily from the preschool where she attended on a scholarship Romano had coincidentally approved, when he bought groceries without anxiety, when he studied without working himself to exhaustion, he couldn't entirely regret the connection. His phone buzzed, a text from Romano. "Sophia wants Lily at her birthday party this weekend. Aria will send details. Also, good work on the Morrison acquisition analysis. You have instincts." Lucas typed back, "Lily's excited about the party, and thank you for the feedback." There should have been more to say. Questions about boundaries, about what Romano expected in return, about whether this was mentorship or manipulation. But Lucas had learned in 3 weeks that Dante Romano operated in nuance, in unspoken agreements, in debts acknowledged but never discussed directly. So instead, Lucas sent another text. "Tell Aria we're bringing a present." Lily picked it out herself. The response came immediately. "Sophia will love it. See you both Saturday." Lucas locked his phone, returned to his analysis, and tried not to think about how easily he'd been absorbed into Dante Romano's orbit, or how much safer Lily had been because of it. Outside his window, New York stretched endlessly, a city where crime bosses rescued hostages, where desperate fathers made deals with devils, where 2 little girls became friends and changed everything. And Lucas Chen, poor student, part-time worker, single father, had learned that sometimes salvation came from the most unlikely places, even if the price was still being calcula-ted.